What's going on, fight fans? Welcome back to Nakong. Today we're breaking down the full UFC 317 card, and this one is headlined by a massive lightweight title fight. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. This isn't just a good matchup. This is a fight that could reshape the lightweight division for years to come. Now, the title is vacant because Islam Makhachev has officially decided to move up to welterweight. That left the door wide open, and Ilia Topuria was the first to walk through it, giving up his featherweight belt to chase greatness. That move alone takes guts. But what's at stake for him now? Everything. If Ilia wins this fight, he becomes a two-division champion while still undefeated. Think about that. Wins over Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and Charles Oliveira back-to-back would be arguably the greatest three-fight run in UFC history. We're talking about legendary territory here. This could be a defining moment in Ilia's career, maybe even a defining moment for this era of the UFC. But on the flip side, if Ilia loses, he's beltless. He gave up his featherweight title, and now he risks losing all that momentum if Charles beats him. So this is high stakes. Make dash or dash break. And as for Charles Oliveira, he's not just looking to get back the belt. He's looking to make history. No one in the UFC has ever been a two-time lightweight champion. Not Khabib, not BJ Penn, not Makhachev, no one. So this is a chance for Charles to become the first man to win the lightweight title twice. That would cement his legacy and silence any doubt people still have about his resume. Both men are finishers. Both have highlight reels. Both are proven in 5-round wars. This main event is everything you want in a pay-per-view headliner. It's the banger of the night, the fight of the night, and without a doubt, the most meaningful fight on the entire card. Now, the rest of UFC 317 has real depth too. In the co-main event, we've got a title rematch between Alexander Pantoja and Kai Kara-France, a fight with unfinished business. These two originally fought on The Ultimate Fighter, and it was Pantoja who beat Kai and knocked him out of the tournament. Now, they meet again with the flyweight belt on the line. Kai has become a different fighter since then, sharper, more disciplined, and more powerful. But Pantoja is a grinder. He's never been knocked out, and he thrives in chaos. He might not have the cleanest striking, but he wears you down. He walks you through hell. And he finds a way to break fighters. He's already beaten Brandon Royval, Brandon Moreno, and Alex Perez. If he gets past Kai again, he might just lap the entire division. Speaking of Royval, he's fighting Joshua Van earlier on the card in a #1 contender bout. me tell you, this one is going to be crazy. In fact, this is his second fight this month. That's the kind of activity we don't see often, especially at this level. But Royval is not an easy guy to step in against. He's unpredictable, aggressive, and dangerous everywhere. He's been an underdog in almost every UFC fight he's had, and he keeps proving people wrong. Don't be surprised if he derails Van's hype train. But if Van pulls this off on short, notice that's star-making stuff right there. Now, let's talk about Benail Dariush, a veteran on the edge of collapse. Dariush is fighting Renato Moicano, and he needs this win more than anyone on the card. He's coming off back-to-back first-round losses to Arman Tsarukyan and Charles Oliveira. Not only did he lose, he got blown out. If he drops another one here, especially by finish, that's likely the end of his title hopes, and maybe even his spot in the top 10. Moicano, on the other hand, has quietly built momentum. He's got the grappling, he's got the cardio, and he's been improving his striking. This is a dangerous fight for Dariush. He's the more powerful guy, but Moicano is trickier and a bit fresher. And let's not forget, Benail hasn't fought since late 2023. That layoff after 2 KO losses might help, or it might show that the clock is ticking on his career. Then you've got what I believe is the most slept-on fight of the night. Payton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. This is a battle between two of the best bantamweight prospects in the UFC. Talbot has one-punch power, which is extremely rare at 135. But Lima is slick, a technical striker with crisp combinations and a solid grappling game to back it up. What makes this fight so good is that both guys are young, skilled, and likely to be ranked within the next year or two. It's a future top 15 fight happening before either guy gets there. And don't be surprised if they run it back one day down the road. I think Lima takes it. He's just more well-rounded. But Talbot can change the fight with a single shot. Elsewhere on the main card, Hadir Emil versus Jose Delgado is another banger in the making. Two undefeated guys who bring serious firepower. Emil is a pressure-heavy southpaw who throws wild combos, while Delgado is technical, explosive, and has finishing power in both hands. That's a striker's delight right there. And then you've got Jacob Smith taking on Nico Price in what I'm calling the most one-sided matchup on the card. Jacob is a wrestler with knockout power. Nico is tough, but the chin's been cracked too many times. Unless Jacob gets reckless and runs into something wild, I don't see how he loses this one. It's probably Jacob Smith by first round. And that's being generous. Now, Rounding out the prelims are a few names you should pay attention to. Terrence McKinney returns against Slava Claus. A fun, striking matchup. But one McKinney should dominate if he sticks to the grappling. Slava is slick on the feet, but once he's on the mat, he's in trouble. Also, Gregory Rodriguez versus Jack Hermansson is your classic power versus technique matchup. Rodriguez has serious strength and explosive ground and pound, while Hermansson is tricky and experienced. If it stays on the feet, Jack could frustrate him with volume. But if it hits the ground, Gregory could absolutely maul him. And don't forget about the heavyweight. Scrap Janata Dinas versus Elvin Hines. Hines is undefeated, active, and finishes fights in all kinds of ways. Dinas is more experienced, but has shown serious flaws in his ground game. If Hines gets him down, that fight could be over quick. Overall, UFC 317 is a card full of meaningful fights, rising prospects, and potential legacy shifts. The main event is historic. The co-main is a grudge match, and the rest of the card is lined with breakout potential. This is a fight night you do not want to miss. Let me know down below, who are you picking in the main event? Will Topuria make history? Or is Charles Oliveira about to remind everyone who the real king at 155 is? Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Nakon, and stay tuned. Full fight breakdowns are coming next. Let's talk about the co-main event. Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France, a rematch years in the making. The first time they fought, it was on The Ultimate Fighter, and Pantoja beat Kai to move on in the tournament. Now, they're facing off again, but this time, it's for the UFC flyweight title. Here's what's interesting. Kai has been talking like Pantoja doesn't want to stand with him, saying he expects Pantoja to wrestle. But here's the thing, that might be a huge mistake, because if there's one thing we've learned watching Pantoja over the years, it's that brawling with him is not a great idea. He thrives in chaos, even against guys like Brandon Moreno, who's one of the toughest and most durable fighters in the division. Pantoja was able to hurt him early with raw aggression. That's not easy to do. Pantoja may not be the cleanest striker, but he's powerful, he's aggressive, and he has that relentless pressure that forces mistakes out of his opponents. If Kai underestimates him on the feet, he could be in trouble. Yes, Kai is the better technical striker, faster, cleaner, sharper. But when he's under pressure, we've seen him break before. Just go back and watch the Rogerio Bontorin fight. Walk down, and that's exactly the kind of pressure Pantoja brings every time. Now, when it comes to the ground game, the edge clearly goes to Pantoja. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is elite. If he can scramble with Kai and create chaos in the stand-up, It's very possible he gets this fight to the mat, and once it's there, he's got a serious chance to finish. Kai does have solid takedown defense, and he's proven that against guys like Askarov and Amir Albazi, who are both strong wrestlers. But Pantoja isn't just a wrestler, he's an overwhelming presence. He doesn't need a clean takedown. Sometimes he just creates enough of a scramble or a trap in the clinch to drag you into deep water. The key to this fight is distance. If Kai can stay long, pick his shots, and use angles, he can outpoint Pantoja. But the moment he's stuck against the cage, with Pantoja ripping low kicks and winging hooks, things are going to spiral. Pantoja's got underrated kicks, a strong lunging left hook, and that ability to mix it up with takedowns at just the right time. The wild card is that Kai can knock people out, but his best knockouts come when he has space, when he can time his opponents. Pantoja isn't likely to give him that. He's going to be in his face, making him react, making him uncomfortable. So for me, the pick is Alexander Pantoja by unanimous decision. I think he wears Kai down over 5 rounds, mixes in the grappling, lands damaging leg kicks, and grinds out his 4th title defense. That would make him 10-0 against ranked opponents and arguably one of the most dominant flyweights of all time. Now, let's move to the main event, and what could be one of the greatest fights of 2025. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira for the vacant lightweight title. Islam Makhachev has officially moved up to welterweight, leaving the 155-pound belt on the table. And now, 2 absolute killers are stepping in to claim it. Ilia Topuria, still undefeated, never lost his featherweight title, and now chasing history. A win here means he beats Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and Charles Oliveira in a row. That would be one of the best 3-fight runs in UFC history. Across 2 divisions, and Charles Oliveira, he's already a former champ, but he's looking to make history in his own right. No one in UFC history has ever been a 2-time lightweight champion. Not Khabib, not BJ Penn, not even Makhachev. If Charles pulls this off, he becomes the first to do it in one of the most competitive divisions of all time. Let's break it down. Ilia is arguably the cleanest boxer in the UFC right now. He's got 1-punch knockout power, brutal body shots, and cuts off the cage like a veteran. His pressure is calculated, and his pace breaks people. But Charles Oliveira isn't just any striker. He's a wild man. He's unpredictable, dangerous in every position, and brings a level of variety that Ilia hasn't seen yet. Punches, kicks, elbows, knees, in the clinch, at range, or moving backward. He knocked out Jared Gordon with an overhand off the back foot. His striking has improved a lot, but Charles' biggest flaw, his head movement. He keeps his hands high, but his head stays still. And against a sniper like Ilya, that's a massive problem. When Ilya rips to the body and follows up with overhands or hooks, that still target is going to get lit up. It's the same issue that led to Charles getting dropped in multiple fights, even when he wins. That said, Ilya also has his holes. His low stance makes him vulnerable to head kicks and knees. Just ask Jai Herbert, the only lightweight Ilya has fought. Charles throws both those weapons extremely well. If he times it right, he can absolutely hurt Ilya. The ground game is a whole other conversation. Ilya says he wants to submit Charles Oliveira, which is crazy because Charles is statistically the most dangerous submission artist in UFC history. If this hits the mat, it could get wild. Ilya does have solid wrestling and top control, but we haven't seen him grapple with anyone like Charles before. And here's the thing. Charles is the more experienced lightweight. He's used to the weight. He's fought the top of the division, and he knows what it feels like to be in those deep waters. Ilya might be jumping into the pool a little early. We haven't seen him get pushed yet. Charles is going to push him. That's what makes this fight so unpredictable. If Charles fights smart and uses his grappling, I think he has a real chance to win. But if he gets emotional, if he tries to prove he can strike with Ilya, I think he gets knocked out. Plain and simple. So what's the pick? It's close, but I'm going with Ilya Topuria by first round knockout. He's too sharp, too clean, and too powerful, especially early. Charles just doesn't have the head movement to avoid Ilya's follow-up shots. And once Ilya starts landing to the body and closing the distance, I think the lights go out. That would make Ilya a two-division champion, undefeated, and one of the biggest stars in the sport. But let's be real, the odds are way off. Ilya should not be a -400 favorite. Charles Oliveira as a +300 underdog is disrespectful. And if you're betting, that line is wide for a reason. Charles has a much better shot than the odds suggest.